Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Tales of Inspiration with Adam. And today I have a great tale to tell you. So, I don't know if most of you have ever heard of a sensory deprivation chamber, but they're these, sometimes they're these pods, the other times it's like a chamber where you go into it. It's filled with water and salt, so you float in it, and then it's pitch black, so you're in complete darkness. And I seen it a long time ago in an episode of The Simpsons where Homer and Lisa go into this little pod where they go in there, and then Lisa's like, she's seeing all these things and seeing colors, and she's like hallucinating like through the cat's eyes and stuff. So I've always wanted to do this, and I never have. And then I heard a buddy did it, and then finally I looked into it, and they have them over here where I'm at, and I went. So I got a 2-hour session, and I was thinking, like, I don't know, I just wanted to see what it's like. I always liked floating in the water anyways. That's, to me, that's one of the most peaceful things is just being in the water. Like, I like the I like just floating in there, and just sometimes when you're at the lake or in the bathtub, just being in the water. There's the helicopters coming for us because they heard how good my show is. But anyway, so yeah, you go to this chamber, and it's funny because well, you go in there pretty much naked, and you just float in the water, and there's so much salt in there that you really can't sink in it. There's like a foot of water in it, but once you close the door, it's pitch black. You can't see anything, and the water has so much salt in it. When you pull your hands out, and it feels like they're still wet, so you can't really tell when your hands are in and out of the water at that point. The only difference is it seemed like the chamber got a little warmer, so then I could feel the coolness of the water compared to the outside air, and then that was the only way that I could tell that my hand wasn't in the water anymore. But yeah, so you're in this chamber, and it's pitch black. You can't tell if your eyes are open or they're closed, and you're sitting in there. And like, first thing I started thinking was like, dang, what am I gonna think about for 2 hours? What is there possible to do? How is it gonna be boring? Is it gonna take forever? Am I just gonna pass out in here? But I didn't. That was the main thing, is I didn't want to go in there and then end up falling asleep. So I get they send a lot of people to go there to relax because it disconnects you from absolutely everything, and you're just in there by yourself. So it gives you the opportunity to meditate if you want, or just think and just be with your thoughts. So yeah, I was just going in there and not really thinking too much. I didn't really know what I was going to think about, but you start looking around, and I caught myself playing with my hands and waving them in front of my face and thinking, damn, can I see my hands, or is that just my mind imagining the like little shadows, seeing that they're in front of my face? And so I closed my eyes and was doing the same thing. I was like, nah, I definitely can't see it. It's way too dark in here. I was like, I think it is. It's my mind just making up the point that I know my hands are there, that it's kind of imagining that the shadows are in front of me. But yeah, it was completely dark. I couldn't see anything. And so it's cool because you're in the water just floating, and then you move around and you kind of like twist and turn in the water, and you can put your hands up and down behind you, and you're just floating, and it feels awesome, like no effort whatsoever. So I was just laying there, and then you kind of feel like your body, since you're in the water, moving. And then I didn't really hallucinate or anything in there, but I was saying, like, if you imagine being inside of a cloud, how you can see the little mist around you, and it's just a light shade. And because I'm guessing the water was moving, it felt like I was floating through the clouds, and I was looking around, and then it kind of seems like you could even see like the little cloud moving, and it wasn't like I was falling fast, but it kind of felt like I was falling a little bit, like through the clouds for a second, or for a little bit, and it was pretty crazy. and my mind was just wandering and just going to random stuff. And I was thinking, that was what I was thinking in there. I was like, man, this is, if you ever want to be truly present in the moment, then that's the only time that I could think of where you're truly present with yourself and nothing else around you, because all you're in there with is your thoughts, and pretty much you have nothing to distract you. They give you earplugs too, so you don't hear anything, and you don't really smell much in there. You could kind of smell like, it's like a solution of the salt, I guess. That's what you're smelling when you're inside of there. But once you get used to it, it's not like you're smelling that the whole time, and it's not like a bad smell or anything. But yeah, I was laying in there and just my mind's wandering, and I was at a point where all you could feel is your heart beating, and you could feel it like beating throughout your body, and you could hear it. And then I was wondering, I was like, dang, are my eyes open right now? Am I dreaming? Or like, I didn't know if I was dreaming or if I was asleep, because it's so dark and you can't really tell the difference. But there was one point where I thought I was seeing a light, a really faint light. Like at one point it would kind of like flash on the side like a yellowish kind of light, but very, very faint. And then there was one where it was in front of me, and I kept looking, but you can't really tell what direction you're looking in. So I saw like a little white light, and it was like moving. And then from that, it like made me think about being in space and floating through space, and just how great it would feel to be weightless like that. And then even that, since the water was a little bit cooler, and you're staying pretty still at that point, but then when you put your hand down to sink into the water, and then the water covers you, you could feel the coolness of it. So I was picking my hands up and dripping water on my chest, and then it's funny because the water's like slowly dripping off your fingers, and it feels, if you could feel the water rolling off your fingers, and then when it hits you, you feel that little cool sensation plus the water dropping down on you. And it was crazy because it feels like you're melting like into yourself, as crazy as it sounds, but that's the way it feels. And it just feels like you're getting rained on too with with your own body. That was the crazy little experience that I was having. And then because you can't see anything and it's completely black, that's what I got to this point where I was thinking, I was like, wow, this is like if you were in space and you didn't exist, and you're just pretty much like nothingness, because you're looking around with your eyes, and you're so still you don't really feel your body too much. I was like, so it feels like you don't really exist. And I came up with some random, but it felt good. That was the thing, is it felt really good to feel that. And came up with this random thing about to not exist is to really be alive. And I was kind of understanding what they talk about in those meditation books and stuff, when they're saying about like the mind, body, and soul all being connected. And that's what it was like in there, because at one point, just laying there and being so relaxed, I couldn't really, I mean, I knew my body was there just because I knew it, but like I couldn't feel it. I could hear my breathing, and even my breathing was like really slow, but it just felt, it just felt like, I was thinking like, because I'm not seeing anything, I'm really just feeling like whatever it is that is around me, and my mind is just thinking of all this stuff. And it's a crazy feeling. It feels so good about being that relaxed and like kind of having like an empty mind. There was a point like that where my mind was just, it seemed like it was completely blank, and I was like in some kind of like zone or something. And I don't even think my eyes were blinking, because I was wondering that at the beginning, like, why am I blinking so much when it's completely dark? But I guess your eyes need to blink just to get moist and all that. But at this point, like I was so focused and relaxed and stuff, it just felt like my eyes were completely open and just like staring off into the emptiness of nothing. And at that point, it felt so good. And then I'd move my fingers, and it's like you could feel every little movement inside of there. And I started stretching my legs and like moving my body, and like every little movement, and it felt so good just to like move and like tense up my muscles and stuff. And yeah, you're just so like in tune that you could feel like all the little tiny movements. You could feel your joints. Then I went to crack my neck, because I usually crack my neck, and then I was like, dang, that feels really good. Like, so I was just there moving my head back and forth like this for a minute. And the other thing is when I was in there, and then I started like swinging my body, and it just feels like you're floating. It's such a cool feeling. It feels like you're just floating and weightless, and I can imagine that's what it's like to be in space. And I was like, dang man, like it's like so like soothing, like rocking back and forth, and your mind just like jumps from thing to thing, and you just think of random stuff. I even found myself at a point where, because the water is so buoyant that you don't sink, I was breathing and like blowing out all my air, because you could feel when you breathe like a big breath, you float up more than you breathe out. You sink a little bit. That's how like when you're in the pool, you blow all your air out, you sink to the bottom. So that's what I was doing here. And I was like thinking for a minute. I was like, I'm blowing out all my air. I'm gonna sink in this water. Like I'm gonna sink. And then while I was doing that, I was thinking, I was like, all right, you're a rock. You're gonna sink to the bottom. And my head almost went under. I could feel the water like going up. But then I started laughing, because I was just cracking up thinking, dude, you're inside this thing and you're over here thinking that you're a rock just so you can sink to the bottom of the water. And yeah, it was really cool experience. I would recommend that you guys try it. There was 2 people I talked to before, and they were nervous about going in just because it's a dark chamber, but it was pretty big, the one that I went into. You could fully stand up and not touch the ceiling. I could stretch my arms out pretty far, and I could touch the sides with my arms, but like my feet and my head, they were definitely like they weren't even close to touching. And you'll be floating in there at times, and you'll bump into the wall like real softly, and then it kind of sends like a little jolt through your body, because you're just floating, and then all of a sudden you feel something just like lightly hit you, and you're like, oh, like you can feel it, because it seems like your senses are a lot more accurate and intense when you're in there. So, but those 2 people I talked to, they were nervous about going in. When I got out, I saw them and I asked them what they thought, and both the looks on their faces too, because I felt so relaxed afterwards. I really didn't even want to leave. I just wanted to sit there for a bit and relax some more. But both of them, one of the girls seemed like really stressed out. She was talking so much before. She even said her therapist told her that she should try something because she really needs to relax, and he gave her this idea. So she took her friend because she didn't want to go alone. And they had the look on both their faces. They were just like, they both like looked like they had just been massaged or whatever, put in a spa day where they just had all their stress relieved. And that's exactly how my face probably looked too, because I was just like, oh man, this feels so nice. I don't want to leave. I just want to hang out here. And afterwards, you rinse off with the shower to get all the solution, all that salt off you. And when the water hits you, you feel all the water. And it was I had cool water at first, and it was nice. I felt all the cool water. Then I turned it to warm water. I was like, man, this is so good. It felt like you feel it more intense, like on your skin and everything. So, I mean, I thought of so many things in there. I could probably go on for an hour talking about everything, but the main thing that I thought was, this is the most present that you'll ever be with your body, with your mind, with your thoughts and everything. And there was that point where I got to it, and yeah, I didn't know if I was asleep, but my eyes were open. I didn't know if I was dreaming or whatever it was. It's not like I was seeing stuff, but I know you could feel yourself moving in the water. But there was a point where it got so still and my breathing was so like soft that I felt like I wasn't even moving. It honestly felt like time was standing still, and it's like I was just like not stuck, but just like so relaxed. My hands were like this, just floating, and I was just like staring off into the emptiness, and it just felt like everything was so like peaceful that yeah, I couldn't feel my body. I could barely like feel my heart beating, and I was just, yeah, I was like, it was amazing. It was a great feeling. I'm seeing why those guys meditate now, and they could get in that zen-like state. That it's just a amazing feeling when you feel that way. And I think if I'd recommend anything before going in there, it would be learning a little bit of breathing exercises, because I think that has a lot to do with being able to focus and really calm yourself a lot. I mean, I don't know if those girls did it, but they seemed pretty calm afterwards. But for myself, I remember some of those breathing exercises where you like that really felt good for me. So when you breathe in and then you hold it, and then you breathe out slowly and you hold it. And for some reason, when I would breathe in, it felt good and I'd hold it. But then when I breathe all the air out and like then hold my breath, it felt so much better than when I was breathing in. Like, it's not like it felt bad the other way, but I don't really know how to explain it. But it's just like this cool feeling you get, like your body just like is so peaceful and relaxed, and just, yeah. So I'd recommend trying something like that, like a breathing exercise. I was even doing some I don't even know how I came up with that. I was breathing in increments, like counting. I was breathing in like 5 little increments, 5 breaths in and then blow out, and in between each one I'd hold my breath a little bit and blow out 5, and then I went to breathing in 4 and then out 3, 2, and then where it was just like small little breaths that I was breathing, and it was good. I liked it, so I definitely am gonna go back one of these days and do it again. So if any of you guys try it, I recommend you give me your comments, or if any of you have tried it, leave some comments below. Tell me a little bit about your experience, because I definitely want to hear about it. And yeah, try one of the sensory deprivation tanks, or even just meditate and let me know how it goes. So until next time, keep enjoying, keep watching, subscribe, like, share with your friends, and I will see you then.